Well, as the war in Ukraine wages on, Russia has unleashed hypersonic missiles in the latest wave of deadly airstrikes. The daily barrage of attacks is targeting civilian areas as the country battles through the winter months. Now, the war is nearing its third year, leaving many wondering what and how exactly this will end. For more analysis, we're joined by Ukraine's Ambassador to Australia, Vasyl Myroshnychenko. Vasyl, thank you for your time today. You are heading to Ukraine this coming week. What will your focus be there? What meetings will you be having?
I'm coming back to Kyiv to have some consultations with my counterparts at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Defense, and there will be some briefings that I will attend on the ongoing situation.
So can you elaborate a little bit more on those meetings, I guess? Where is the war at the moment? We know that Putin has unleashed more missiles recently, targeting civilian areas, targeting children. Nothing seems to be off limits there. What is the plan for Ukraine's counteroffensive?
Well, at this stage, we see that Russians are intensifying their attacks on civilian infrastructure, on power generation and electricity distribution. And in this respect, they are putting more pressure on the Ukrainian civilian population and making it unbearable for Ukrainians to go through this winter. And this in itself is already a war crime by targeting civilian infrastructure. At this stage, there are also some heavy battlefields taking place around two cities, in Marinka and Avdiivka. Nevertheless, what Ukrainians are now doing, we are now, working very closely with our partners and allies to strengthen our air defense capabilities and strengthen the missiles that we need to actually counteract those attacks. I'll just give you one example. Between December 29th and January 2nd, Russia has launched 300 different missiles and 200 drones against Ukrainian cities. Many casualties, many are wounded, but also critical infrastructure hit. So these are the brutal attacks that Russians are doing, and we're just fighting back whatever we can defend ourselves at this stage.
I mean, Ambassador, Putin has admitted that the war in Ukraine is war on the West and the values that it stands for. Do you worry that on a global scale, people are becoming fatigued by the Ukraine war, particularly with a lot of focus on the Hamas-Israel conflict? And I guess, what does that mean for our democracy?
What's happening currently in Ukraine, we're defending democracy, defending rule of law and human rights. These are fundamental values, and it's important that Ukraine can prevail in this battle. Of course, the attention, once it was diverted to the Middle East, was not helping Ukraine. And we see how Russians have benefited from that fact that the attention was refocused on a different region. And we also have been seeing cooperation between Russia and Hamas. But at the same time, the missiles that Russians are launching, we now see the confirmation that some of the missiles came from North Korea, and drones which Russians are using against Ukraine come from Iran. So we see an axis of evil which is being created. Therefore, it's so important for the global democracies to stand strong with Ukraine, to make sure that we have the right weapons to defend ourselves. Because at the end of the day, a lot will depend on how this is going to play out. And at this stage, what's important is to make sure that we do not encourage other authoritarian leaders to use force to change borders and in different other parts of the world. So it's not really a charity in supporting Ukraine. It's an investment in global security. It's also an investment in the Indo-Pacific security here, because whatever happening in Europe is affecting the entire world.
And I guess how we deal with Putin sets a precedent for other world leaders as well. What more does Ukraine need? You spoke about financial assistance and things like that with weaponry there. I guess, though, how long realistically can countries in the West continue to financially support Ukraine? I mean, the cause is right, but realistically, this can't go on forever.
For us, it's an existential war. It's not the war of our choice. We are defending ourselves. We are defending our sovereignty, which Russians have decided to blatantly violate. And if it was actually the resilience of the international coalition of countries, 50 nations, including Australia, which have come out there to support Ukraine. And as a result of that, we've been able to defend ourselves. We've also pushed Russians out from 50% of the land and territory that they have originally occupied. However, we do need to have the right tools. We need to have enough of the. We're waiting for the long-range missiles. We're waiting for fighter jets. We're also waiting for the ammunition, which is so crucial for us to be able to get ready for the counteroffensive, which will be happening in the spring of this year.
Ambassador Vasyl Myroshnychenko, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. An important discussion. Safe travels to Ukraine this week.